Ever wonder how a tiny secret society managed to infiltrate one of the most powerful organizations in history and potentially change the course of Western civilization? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into the Congress of Wilhelmsbad, the 1782 meeting where the Illuminati basically pulled off the greatest organizational merger since chocolate met peanut butter, except with way more conspiracy theories and far-reaching consequences that we might still be feeling today. Now, before you roll your eyes and reach for your tinfoil hat, let me be clear, this isn't some wild conspiracy theory. This meeting actually happened on July 16th, 1782, and it's one of the most documented, yet least understood pivotal moments in the history of secret societies. The question isn't whether the Congress of Wilhelmsbad took place, but rather what exactly went down behind those closed doors and how it shaped the world we live in today. So who was Adam Weishaupt, and why should you care about his little club? Well, Weishaupt wasn't exactly the type of guy you'd expect to start a revolutionary secret society. He was a law professor at Ingolstadt University in Bavaria, who had been educated by Jesuits but had grown disillusioned with religious influence over education and society. Imagine your college professor not just complaining about the administration, but creating an entire underground organization to overthrow the system. That's basically what Weishaupt did when he founded the Order of the Illuminati on May 1st, 1776, a date that conspiracy theorists absolutely love to point out. Weishaupt's original Illuminati wasn't outwardly about controlling the world through banking conspiracies or whatever you might hear today. It was purportedly founded on Enlightenment, or as some may say, Luciferian principles, opposing religious influence in public life and abuses of state power. They were essentially intellectual revolutionaries who believed in reason and science over dogma and tradition, which ironically makes them sound a lot like today's progressive academics, except with cooler robes and mysterious symbols. But here's where it gets interesting. Weishaupt's little academic club wasn't growing fast enough for his ambitious plans. He needed a vehicle to spread his ideas throughout Europe. And that's where Freemasonry came in. Freemasonry was already well established across Europe, with lodges in major cities filled with influential men from nobility, military leaders, intellectuals, and wealthy merchants. It was the perfect network for Weishaupt to hijack, and the Congress of Wilhelmsbad provided the perfect opportunity. Now let's talk about the Rothschilds, because no good Illuminati story is complete without them. Am I right? The Rothschild connection is where history and conspiracy start to blur. Meyer Amschel Rothschild was indeed building his banking dynasty around this time, and there are claims that he financially backed Weishaupt's Illuminati, though concrete evidence is scarce. What we do know is that Rothschild was connected to some of the same circles, and had every reason to support Enlightenment values that would break down the old barriers that had restricted Jewish business activities for centuries. It's less a smoking gun and more a case of aligned interests. The Congress itself was called by Ferdinand of Brunswick, a leading Freemason who wanted to resolve disputes between different Masonic systems and determine the true origins of their order. Little did he know he was setting the stage for what some would call an ideological takeover. Representatives of nearly 3 million members of various secret societies gathered at this spa resort for what turned into a months-long convention. Imagine a Comic-Con for secret societies, except instead of discussing the latest Marvel movie, they were debating mystical knowledge, ancient wisdom, and, oh yeah, potentially plotting to reshape European society. Weishaupt himself didn't attend the Congress, but his right-hand man, Baron Adolf von Knigge, did, and he was instrumental in merging Illuminati ideas into Freemasonry. Knigge was charismatic, persuasive, and had already infiltrated Masonic lodges. He understood that to spread Illuminati principles, they needed to work within existing structures rather than against them. It's like instead of creating a new social media platform, Weishaupt and Knigge decided to just hijack Facebook from within, much more efficient. During the Congress, the delegates adopted organizational plans that had been formulated by the Illuminati, including a new hierarchy of degrees and a system that allowed the higher ranks to secretly influence the lower ones without their knowledge. It was essentially a secret society within a secret society, a Russian doll of secrecy, if you will, and it worked brilliantly. Within years, Illuminati-influenced Masonic lodges spread across Europe, creating networks of influential men who shared Weishaupt's Enlightenment ideals. Now here's where historians and conspiracy theorists diverge. Historians generally agree that the Illuminati as an organization was effectively squashed in 1787 when the Bavarian government banned all secret societies and specifically targeted Weishaupt's group. Weishaupt fled into exile, and the original Illuminati ceased to exist as a functioning organization. But conspiracy theorists will tell you that this was merely a tactical retreat, and that the Illuminati continued to operate through Freemasonry, spreading its tentacles throughout governments, financial institutions, and eventually into modern corporations, and even entertainment. What makes the Congress of Wilhelmsbad so fascinating is that both narratives could contain elements of truth. The organization itself might have died, but the ideas lived on through Freemasonry and other channels. The Enlightenment values that Weishaupt championed, reason, science, and liberty, did indeed transform Western society in the decades that followed, particularly through the French Revolution, which some contemporaries blamed on Illuminati influence. It's worth noting that just 7 years after the Congress of Wilhelmsbad, the French Revolution erupted, challenging the very power structures that the Illuminati had opposed. Coincidence? Perhaps, but the timing has fueled centuries of speculation that the revolution was engineered by these secret societies. The famous French Revolution slogan, "Liberty, Equality, Fraternity," certainly echoes Illuminati ideals, and many revolutionary leaders were indeed Freemasons, though direct Illuminati connections are harder to establish. What's particularly ironic is that the modern conspiracy theories about the Illuminati controlling the world through financial systems and media should have horrified Weishaupt, whose purported goal was to free people from what he saw as the mind control of religion and monarchies. He allegedly wanted to liberate humanity from superstition, not create a new form of control. Yet his legacy has become the very thing he claimed to fight against, a boogeyman used to explain away complex social and economic forces as the work of shadowy elites. So was the Congress of Wilhelmsbad the moment when a secret cabal began controlling world events, or simply an important meeting where Enlightenment ideas gained a powerful organizational vehicle? The truth, as always, lies somewhere in the messy middle. What's undeniable is that ideas can outlive organizations, and influence can spread in ways that even the original thinkers never imagined. The real legacy of Wilhelmsbad might not be a continuing Illuminati conspiracy, but rather how effectively a small group of determined ideologues managed to inject their ideas into existing power structures. Today, we see similar patterns playing out, not with secret handshakes and mysterious symbols, but through think tanks, policy institutes, and yes, even social media. The methods have changed, but the strategy of influencing from within remains remarkably similar to what Weishaupt and Knigge orchestrated at Wilhelmsbad in 1782. Perhaps the real conspiracy isn't about who controls the world, but how ideas spread and transform society, often without most people even noticing. What's particularly fascinating is how the Illuminati has transformed in our cultural imagination from a short-lived 18th century secret society into the ultimate symbol of hidden power. The very word has become shorthand for any conspiracy theory involving powerful elites, which would be like if your failed startup from 2010 somehow became synonymous with all tech companies everywhere. Weishaupt may have failed in the short term, but in terms of brand recognition, he's absolutely crushing it 250 years later. So, what should we take away from this strange historical episode? Perhaps it's that ideas matter more than organizations, that influence often works best when it's subtle, and that the human desire to find patterns and explanations for complex events will always lead us to create narratives about who's really pulling the strings. The Congress of Wilhelmsbad reminds us that history isn't just about what happened, but about how those events echo through time, shaping perceptions and inspiring new movements long after the original participants have turned to dust. Whether you believe the Illuminati still exists today or died out in the 1780s, the story of how they briefly managed to infiltrate and influence one of history's most powerful networks remains a fascinating case study in how change happens not always through revolution and upheaval, but sometimes through patient infiltration and the strategic positioning of ideas in the right places at the right time. If you want to dive deeper into how secret societies have shaped world events and continue to influence global power structures today, download World Order from the App Store. It's not just another conspiracy theory game, but a carefully researched exploration of the historical connections between organizations like the Illuminati, Freemasonry, and modern power structures with primary sources. And yes, some of the wilder theories too, because sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction, especially when it comes to the Congress of Wilhelmsbad and its long shadow over modern history.